All right, Vig, let's talk a little bit of the Giants.
Let's do it.
New York Football Giants and their coaching staff.
Yes.
The Giants are, as we stand right now, first place in the NFC.
7-6.
7-6, which is hard to say that's a first place team, but hey, one game over 500 can get you a long way in the NFL.
Toughest second half record in the league.
Right, and possibly the best, well, what had previously always been the best division of football, the NFC East. This year, not so much yet. But, right now, our leader, our fearless leader is Tom Coughlin, who's last year kind of hung on by the string of his teeth, or however you want to say it, skin of his teeth, into his coaching job.
The legacy of 09.
Legacy, yeah, exactly. He was still a little too close to Super Bowl championship to fire him. But this year, after starting...
Which I'm okay with keeping him. But
I'm okay with that, right? But basically, here's what we're going to take for a given.
Right.
Giants were 6-2, fell to 6-6, rough. Now we're 7-6. Can win out, can easily get into the playoffs, but we won't necessarily get there. If we get to the playoffs, Coughlin's job's probably safe.
Right.
Let's assume we lose that last game of the season to the Cowboys, we lose the tiebreaker, we're out of the playoffs.
Right. For the purposes of this post, we're assuming the Giants don't make the playoffs and that Coughlin gets released at the end of this season. Who do you bring in? There are some brand name coaches out there on the free agent market.
Yeah.
Bill Cowher.
Start with Bill Cowher.
John Gruden. Brian Belichick. Kind of talking through a little bit of who would you prefer.
Well, let's kind of go down the list then.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with Bill Cowher.
Yeah.
Probably the most marquee name out there. Won a couple Super Bowls in Pittsburgh. Went out and did some TV. Everyone thinks he's great. He's the golden child, so to speak, of the NFL coaches. Everybody wants him. We want to throw $10 million a year at him. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say let's not take him.
I'm with you.
You're going to agree?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Why?
Why? Because Steelers have great ownership. Okay. They have great players. And, I'm not going to say Cowher did too much for that team to let them win. And really, their defense won them those championships. Cowher, who's kind of a defensive guy, but not really a big, he's not a Rex Ryan, who's an all-defensive guy. So, you know what? I'm going to say his players won him that title, not necessarily him.
2 seasons after he retires, Mike Tomlin wins a Super Bowl with the same quarterback,
That's
the
what I was
same
getting.
amazing defense, the same Heinz Ward led wide receiver core.
Yeah.
I think it's more of an organizational success rather than Cowher.
Exactly right. So now let's move on to John Gruden,
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion. I'm going to say no to Gruden as well.
Okay.
I think you might say otherwise, though.
I think that's my guy.
That's okay.
Gruden proved himself to be able to build a team from the ground up in Oakland.
Okay.
Okay, the Rich Gannon led Oakland, the screwed by the Tuck rule Oakland,
Mhm.
right? Then he takes over Tampa Bay, a situation that was basically pre-baked for a guy who was an offensive coach, because Tony Dungy got the Bucks right to the brink.
Right.
Gruden brought them over the hump because he was a offensive thinking, offensive minded coach. Brought them to the promised land in beating the Raiders,
That's
his
right.
former team. So the point is, Gruden has shown the ability to win from nothing, to start from the ground up, as well as take a ready-made team and make it a winner.
I agree with everything you're saying. I think as a coach, he's great. My turn off to Gruden, and has nothing to do with his professional success, is his personal issues of the old crazy I love a guy who hits another guy kind of deal. I don't know how well that would fit into the New York culture, which is why my guy is Brian Belichick. Or Brian, you got me saying Belichick now. Brian Billick.
I got you saying Belichick.
You said at the beginning, you said Belichick.
Okay.
So Brian Billick, that's my guy. And here's why I say that. Giants, traditionally as an organization, we are a defensive team. Billick had the Ravens, who were, one of the greatest defenses in history. They beat the Giants in that Super Bowl, as we probably all remember. Mm-hmm. Won the Super Bowl with a quarterback like Trent Dilfer. I like to win it with defense, not necessarily with offense. If you bring a guy like Gruden in, you're going to win it with offense. With Billick, you're going to win it with defense. I'd rather win it with defense. Also, to your point about Gruden building up teams from nothing really, and he built up Oakland to a very strong team. Went to Tampa Bay, who was really already there. That was Tony Dungy's team. Yeah. Billick did that in Baltimore with the Ravens. If you remember, the Ravens, that was just a couple of years after they were the Cleveland Browns, who were not a very good team. They had moved over there a couple of years later. Billick comes in and makes Ray Lewis into a world leader. All those other guys they had.
So let me jump in there. To me, your argument against Gruden is more about his kind of his approach and his communication style,
Sure.
right? And I understand what you're saying there, especially because the Giants players are babies.
Yes.
You know, they're all like
They are
They
babies.
get all over coaches because of if I'm 5 minutes late to a meeting, that means, or if I'm 5 minutes early to a meeting, I'm late because my coach wanted me there 10 minutes early. Deal with whatever the coach tells you to do.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Think about Billick, right?
Billick,
Not Belichick.
yeah.
Think
Billick.
about Brian Billick. Ray Lewis,
Mm-hmm.
Ed Harris, not just Pro Bowlers.
Ed
Not-
Reed?
not, Ed Reed, sorry,
Okay.
not Ed Harris, the actor. Ed Reed, Ray Lewis.
Terrell Suggs?
I'm going to stick with those two
Okay.
first, though. Not just Pro Bowlers, not just Hall of Famers,
Not just murderers.
both top 100 players of all time
Sure.
to anchor that defense.
Yeah.
So you mentioned great defense. Absolutely, I'm with you. If you remember, he was thought of as an offensive coach going into that job,
Okay.
Okay.
I will give you that.
and then he inherits two of the top 100 players of all time. And oh, by the way, they're both on your defense. And oh, by the way, they're probably the most important positions: one safety and one linebacker.
Yeah.
You could say obviously D lineman, but then you throw people like Terrell Suggs in there, who they also had great defensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, he inherited, but this is the guy that showed he can build it from the ground up as well.
I'll agree with that. I'll give you points on Gruden. And I will agree with you what you're saying about Billick in the sense that his players, a lot of his players are still there. That were when he was
Yeah.
coaching. And this
Yeah.
is years ago, and
Yeah.
they're still there, and they're
Yeah.
still a great
Yeah.
defense.
Yeah.
So with that, hey, you score some points with me. But regardless of it,
You know you want Gruden now.
I don't. I want Billick.
Only
I
because
want
you're
a
being stubborn
tougher
now.
guy.
How you know this guy's not tough?
Because I see him on Monday Night Football, and he doesn't seem that tough to me.
Billick on NFL Countdown or NFL Network is not tough.
Look, in a fight to the death, Gruden versus Billick wins. Period. End of story.
Illogical. You're a logical guy. That's not a logical argument.
Either way, I want the guy who's going to win the fight to his death, which might have been the Mike Tice of the Minnesota Vikings.
Thank you. Let's go
from a few
sign
years
Mike
ago.
Tice.
And, let's have him lead the team because he would win in a court in a.
FitzandVig.com. Vig has proven that he can be won over in an argument. Fitz is not.
Oh,
I gave you that argument.